On the morning of 9/11, Jason Thomas woke up like the rest of us to the worst tragedy in American history. Now, he's an ex-Marine, so he grabbed his Marine uniform, he put it on, and he headed straight down to Ground Zero to see if he could help.
I'm headed down the West Side Highway, and about a mile, less than a mile away, I see the second tower collapse. It comes crumbling right down. And very emotional time for me because, I wanted, you wish that everyone who was in that building got out. But then reality kicks in and say, hey, there's gonna be a lot of people dead. So I jump up and I just run towards Ground Zero.
I've never seen nothing like it in my life.
And this whole time I'm trying to take all of this in. You smell the smoke and the burning of flesh, and getting on site and seeing the destruction. I could have never had prepared myself for what I saw. I run into a person by the name of Staff Sergeant Carnes, and we conducted a search and rescue. Staff Sergeant Carnes immediately goes to the left. I went to the right, and we're crossing this metal and the rubble, and the metal, as you can feel, is still hot, and there's a ton of black smoke pouring up out of craters. I shout out in this one hole, is anyone down there, United States Marines? And I hear a voice. His voice is saying some number, but I didn't care. I didn't care about the number. I didn't care about anything at all. I was just happy that we had someone that was alive, and we needed to get to that person immediately. And we did. We jumped down the hole. We dug and we dug and we dug until about 3:30 in the morning.
Well, the voice came from one of two Port Authority police officers that were trapped deep in the ruins. What's amazing is they were the last two police officers to be brought out alive. Jason and the others are heroes. Those guys are alive today because of them. But Jason wasn't done working. He went back to the site every single day for the next 2 weeks.
I hope that there was more people that we could help rescue, but it wasn't. It wasn't that way at all. The only thing that we pulled out was body parts. Yeah, you do have those nightmares. You do wake up in the middle of the night just having to, say, hey, let it go, just let it go. But, you just don't have to deal with it. You fight through it, you deal with it.
He volunteered. He wasn't paid, he wasn't on payroll, he wasn't on duty. He just thought he was needed, and so he went to go help.
You guys must be John and Will.
Yes, I'm John.
John?
Nice to meet you.
Honor to meet you guys, man.
Will?
Hey,
Nice
Will.
to meet you.
Will Jimeno and John McLaughlin are two Port Authority police officers that went down to Ground Zero, and they went up in these buildings to save as many lives as they could. But what's scary is all that came down on top of them, and they survived. So, this is the road you guys came down?
Yes, on West Broadway.
What did you see when you guys were down here? I mean, what was happening at that moment?
Well, Building 1 was on fire. You could see the towers, and we went up to the precinct, get equipment, I had to cross over to the concourse to start going into Tower 1. We heard a loud explosion coming from the area of Building 2, and at that point, Building 2 was collapsing. There was 5 men in our team, and we were being hit by the debris falling down, the ceiling falling on us. When we were making the turn into the freight elevator lobby, 3 of us made it around to the lobby and survived, and Antonio Rodriguez and Chris Amoruso didn't make the turn, and they didn't survive the initial collapse. Dominic Pizzullo, who was with Will and I, he survived. When Tower 1 collapsed, Dominic was hit by debris that came into a hole, and Dominic died from his injuries in the hole.
An entire, how many story building just came down on top of you guys?
2 buildings. We were hit by both buildings.
So it's 220 stories.
How many hours were you guys down there, do you know, trapped?
Well, yeah, I was trapped 13 hours. They got me out around 11 p.m. that evening.
Okay.
They found us at 8, took 3 hours to extract me out. And then Sarge was buried about 15 feet back from me.
I was buried for 22 hours.
You were buried for 22 hours.
They got me out the following morning. Both my legs were crushed. So we both got braces on both legs. He's got a brace on one leg. I had 26 surgeries. I'm up to 30 surgeries now, and we'll need a couple more. I still have open wounds that haven't been closed.
It's a miracle you guys are still here, man.
Yeah, it's a big miracle.
A lot
It's
of
mind-boggling, but we're here.
A lot of people don't realize how dangerous that debris pile was, how severely dangerous between the fires, beams that actually were melting people's shoes. They were so hot. 6-story holes that you fell into, you wouldn't live. The significance of what Jason did to make it out into the middle of that debris field, it took a lot of courage to do what he did, and I think what you're doing to help his family is outstanding.
Couldn't happen to a better guy, you know, an American hero, someone that did something good for America that day, for us. And I know we're very proud of Jason, and what you guys are doing is just incredible.
9/11 was probably the worst day in American history. We lost so many lives. This is a story about two people who didn't, and that, to me, is, I mean, in a day like that, when so many lives were lost, and then you pull 2 bodies out, it's a sign of hope on a day that you lost everything. And I don't think anyone realizes how symbolic that was. And those guys do, man. You know, you see John McLaughlin, who can barely walk anymore. You know, his hips and his legs are no longer the same, but he can walk. He can hug his wife. He can hug his kids. And because, you know, people like Jason Thomas were there that day, it made me realize what the word hero means. And there were a lot of heroes on that day. Not a lot survived, but there were a lot of heroes.
Survivors. I really did. Will Himino is one of the officers that was calling out, but we only saw his hand sticking up because he was beneath another level.
What did you tell those guys?
Well, you tried to comfort them, you know, tried to keep their mind completely off of the situation that they're, or what they're going through, because they're trapped and they're injured. I remember at one point in time, Will Himino was saying, he was telling us, just amputate my leg, because his leg was trapped. And he wasn't saying it because he just wanted to get out of the hole. He was saying it because he wanted us to get to John McLaughlin, because his condition was just much worse. With him saying that, I knew the type of person that he was. You know, if I had lost my life, it would have been well worth it. You know, because I know that this guy right here is willing to give his leg to help out, you know, someone else.
So now, I mean, I've heard the story today. You got pretty emotional when you looked at this thing. Now I think I understand why this means so much to you.
It means a lot. It's a symbol of what we are as Americans. Because on that day, we all came together and stood as a nation, as Americans. You know, it didn't matter what race you were, what religion you were. We all came together to help one another out.
You love this country, don't you?
I'll die for this country.